we are discussing something which involves all of us here. That's the story. Why has Bengaluru run dry? Trying to figure out reasons, trying to see if there is light at the end of the tunnel. Joseph Hoover, you had started speaking and we lost your audio. Please continue, Joseph, where you had left off.
Yeah, as I was saying, it's been a cumulative failure of all the governments, be it the Congress, the JDS, or the BJP, or whoever, the potato party or the tomato party. They have all messed it up. The policies are in place, but it's not being followed. But then the bigger picture here is it's us. We have failed as citizens of this city, of this beautiful city. It was once a garden city. We have reduced it to a garbage city. Once it was such a great city, now we even cry over it, saying that where are we going? Why are we in this kind of a mess? And I would say, always say, because if we drive the policymakers to do what we want them to do, everything would have been okay. But we have failed. We have come to a situation today where we are fretting, regretting, and begging for water. What a situation. Just imagine begging for water. And this is something that hits us very badly. I mean, just across where I live, there's a lake called Oskerali, where there was a road being made. Today, the school children in that Oskerali government school don't have water to drink. They're crying. The similar state everywhere across the city. But then we going back to the past, I would say this was what we were expecting a long time ago. We've been talking about it for over more than 20 years, where we're saying only when the taps go dry in Vidhana Sauda, and now that has happened in the CM's house,
Yes.
people will realize how important forests are.
Yeah, so you're absolutely right, and that's what I started this story with. And you see, in the CM's house, you can see water tankers going in at Krishna, which is his home come office, and this is what Bengaluru has become. But you may say, okay, he has access to it. What about other poor people, considering that water is so expensive? And talking about the expense of water, let me go to A.R Shivakumar. A.R Shivakumar, you started this conversation by saying, listen, water is very cheap. Please monetize water. For instance, what I was reading, what you had also spoken about in one of the reports is, for 1,000 liters, someone pays 7 or 8 rupees. Am I right? Is that the rate? Yeah. So
that's
please,
the first slab.
Yeah. So first, just for the benefit of the viewers, why do you think if water is monetized, there will not be this kind of crisis going forward, Shivakumar?
As of today, Bangalore heavily depends on groundwater.
Right.
And the second source is Cauvery water. In fact, they are in equal quantities, which have been supplied as per the recent survey what they have. Unfortunately, both of them are undervalued. In fact, in the groundwater, it's zero. Nobody pays for water. They pay only for the electrical charges what they use for pumping. Nobody monitors how much water is being used. If you have a bowel and if it's yielding, you can pump left and right throughout the day, and then you can use water for whatever purpose you want. Unfortunately, the water supply through the service provider BWSSB and the layouts and others are also in the similar situation. Somebody has a lot of money. You want to get, suppose if there is water flowing in your pipelines, if you want to get 1 lakh liter per day, and if it is coming and you have it, you just need to pay the money for that. Why don't you ration it today? Because Bangalore is in such a crisis. People need at least 8 to 10,000 liter per family for 1 month for the
But how do
basic
you
needs.
ration it? I mean, that will
Yeah,
create a major
it's very
kind of,
simple.
how do you
Yeah, I
ration
know.
water? It's not
I have
easy.
been telling this from the last more than a decade. The first 8 to 10,000 or 15,000 liters you give at the rate what you have today.
Okay.
Suppose if it crosses, say 10,000 liter, the 11,000 liter, don't give it at 15 rupees or 20 rupees.
Veena,
Give
do
it
you
at
agree?
200 rupees.
Yeah. So, what Shivakumar, Veena, do you agree? Then I have read reports about many people saying, then look at 5-star hotels where you and I can bathe in a bathtub which wastes so much water. Why don't you have bucket baths? Why do you see? You can't ration water. Do you think any politician, any political group will do that, Veena? Today you're talking about rationing water. I have read that don't wash your car, don't, waste water this way, that way. You read all newspapers in Bengaluru, this is what they're talking about. But what is a holistic view? What is a holistic way out, Veena?
Correct. I don't think the point that he was making was rationing. He was saying differential pricing. So he was saying everybody, and AAP has done this in Delhi, where you have the first 20,000 liters or 15,000 liters, which is given at a reasonable cost. And above that, there's a very, very big jump. And you pay that very, very big jump for the entire 20,000. Right? So if you go to 21,000 or even 20,001, you pay a big price for the entire thing. So there are models even within India that we can look at, where keeping water within reasonable prices very cheap. I mean, within reasonable consumption cheap. The minute you overconsume, you pay a price. So I don't call that rationing. I call that rational pricing. And I think that was the point that was being made.
But do you think it's doable going forward? Do you think political parties will agree in Bengaluru, the Congress? This is an election year. I mean, for me, you do that and that's it. You know, this is going to, that's what I said. They had to think way before. It's like for your board exams in March, you can't be studying on 20th of February. You know, then you know what the results are. I mean, you know, you can't, you got to start if you want to get good grades. Sandeep Anirudhan, tell me something. You started by telling us, you know, that what is it that ails, but you know, going forward, if you have to talk about it, do you think these measures, for instance, you know, rationalizing the use of water, not rationing, but rationalizing the use of water, and also seeing to it that, you know, how we do take precautionary methods. What is your thought about this, considering it is not so much central Bengaluru, correct me if I am wrong, which is facing the crisis, it is the outskirts. Am I right or no, not true?
So the CM's house and the deputy CM's house are in the most prestigious parts of Bengaluru. If BWSSB is not supplying water to them, then it's completely broken.
Okay.
Yeah. But anyway, I'll answer your question. See, whatever crisis, the calamity you are seeing today is an outcome of failure of, let's say, policy, planning and governance. So broadly, you can classify it all as misgovernance. And this has happened over the last 5 to 8 decades. Today, we are paying the price for it. Why? Because when we build a city, let us go back 500 years. When Kempe Gowda wanted to set up a city in Bengaluru, he actually used to operate out of Yelahanka. He went and spoke to his mother about it. He said, I want to set up a city in this place called Bengaluru. The only response she gave was this: you want to build a city there, build lakes, plant trees. She spoke about building capacity in excess of what they needed.
All right.
So basically, the local residents of this area built capacity beyond their needs. They built 2,000 lakes in this district of Bengaluru, which could hold the 17 to 24 TMC of water that we receive as rains.
All right.
Today, after the British left us with their kind of thinking, which is colonial resource extraction and not really building the place, you know, because they came as colonialists. They just wanted to use us. Unfortunately, we have become the colonialists now. We are colonizing our whole city. We don't believe in building, rejuvenating. We only believe in extracting. And that approach has got us here.
Very good point.
We had 2,000 lakes. We have destroyed all of them and we have only 400 septic tanks left.
Yeah.
Then we made a policy mistake by depending on a water source which was 100 kilometers away on an upward gradient, which is from Cauvery. Why? Because the moment we started getting that water in our taps, we started destroying every lake that we had in our city.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, I think this is the best thing. Yeah, you've said, Sandeep.
No, but this apart, this is wrong policies, and there are multiple wrong policies we followed in terms of governance and planning. We have a city, we either build capacity for the population we are expecting or beyond it, so that we have abundance.
Nothing happened. I don't think politicians and politics is going to solve that. Joseph Hoover, raising your hand quickly, 30 seconds to you, 30 seconds.
15 seconds would do. I was in the midst of this crisis, when all of Bangalore is crying for water, there is a builder who's filling debris into a lake, Subramaniapura Lake. Debris is being dumped there. We are all crying for water, and then we have an arrogant builder who's dumping debris into the water body. What do we make out of this? This is Bengaluru. This is the attitude of people.
But this is so sad that this is what Bengaluru has become, Joseph. This was not Bengaluru.